What's going on, travelers? Sam here, back at it again for another video. With Xiao set to get yet another rerun, and with the recent addition of a couple best in slot supports, I thought it would be a great time to create a new Xiao guide. So in this video, we're going to be going over Xiao's best relics slash artifacts, best team comps, talent priority, constellations, and then I'll close it going over my quote-unquote pull priority for Xiao. But before we get into all that, I wanted to just quickly go over my Xiao and my TLDR opinion of Xiao. So real quickly, I'll admit I don't have the best Xiao in the world, but I do have a profound affinity for this character. He was one of my first hyper carries. So he's rocking, 70 crit rate, 252 crit damage. He does have the Staff of Homa. He is running the two-piece VV and two-piece Glad. And my artifacts are pretty solid. Not the best in the world by any means, but Zhao's pretty solid. He definitely does a tremendous amount of damage, and with the team comps I run him in, he definitely slaps and can carry through most of the content. I do have him C1, and he's triple crown. So I just wanted to quickly go over my Zhao so you had a working understanding of what I'm coming from. But if we jump into Xiao as a whole, Xiao is a plunging attack animal 5-star DPS character. He is very greedy, as in he really only wants to be the only damage dealer on the team. He wants 3 supports that are boosting up his damage. So if we go into his artifacts, he actually has probably 3 realistic artifacts. So you'll see from my build, he's running 2 VV, 2 Gladiator. This used to be the best build for him to give him that extra animal damage as well as that attack percent. But since then, the Vermilion set has come out, and this is actually now his best in slot. I don't have any good pieces for it, so I definitely didn't farm it up at all. I just thought that the increase would be negligible for the amount of resin I would have to spend. But this is definitely his best 4-piece, as you're getting an attack percent, pretty substantial attack percent increase with the 2-piece and the 4-piece set. You just have to use your elemental burst to get that an additional attack percentage. But one other set that you can actually use with the addition of Fontaine is the Hunter set. So the Hunter set, is it the best set for him? No, absolutely not, as the 2-piece only does normal and charge attack damage. But if you're struggling to get some crit rate, you can definitely run this on him. You can pair him with Farina, who we'll talk about in the later team comps. But if you're struggling to get some crit rate, you could actually get, free 36% crit rate. It only lasts for 5 seconds, which is unfortunate because, Zhao's burst does last for about 15 seconds. So, of the 5 seconds of the Hunter buff, you're really only utilizing a third of that during his burst, but it's better than nothing. So that's kind of his relics. Now, if we go into his weapons, weapons are pretty cut and dry as well. Staff of Homa is definitely going to be his best weapon. It's got massive crit damage. The HP increase doesn't really help him, but obviously with Zhao's burst lowering his HP, he's going to get a pretty significant attack boost the lower his HP gets. So this is definitely an excellent weapon for him. You can also use Deathmatch for, my light spenders out there. Deathmatch is also a very good weapon for him. Black Cliff Polearm, which I don't have on this account, is also very good with him because you're getting crit damage. You can rock, some attack percent weapons like the Lithic Spear if you're using him with a bunch of leeway characters. Other than that, the prototype Star Glitter is fine, but really you do want to prioritize, a crit weapon for him or an attack percentage weapon. With Staff of Homa being the best, Deathmatch being up there, the new Battle Pass. Is the Deathmatch still in the Battle Pass? I don't know. The other Battle Pass polearms or the Black Cliff polearm are going to be best in slot for him. And then if we go over to his team comp, so as I mentioned, Xiao definitely wants to be the main DPS, the main hyper carry on the team. I would say this was his best team. We'll say Farina, as she was new. This was his best team. Obviously, don't look at my Farzan. She's not built. I don't have her C6. But this was a really good team for Xiao. Xiao really wants a shielder like Zhongli because he's definitely very prone to getting knocked out of the air, kind of like Wanderer. So he definitely sees a significant boost and boon from characters like Zhongli. And then obviously, since Xiao is an attack scaling unit, Bennett gives him a ginormous boost. And then if you have C6 Fire Zone, this is insane. So I would say pre-Fontaine, this was definitely his best team. But with the introduction of Farina, I prefer Farina over Farazan personally. I don't know mathematically which is better, but I do think Farina pairs very well with Xiao because she and her little minions will lower his HP, which further boosts his damage from Staff of Homa if you're using it. And then again, you have the shield and a healer. So, Bennett isn't the best to pair with Farina, but I definitely think this is a very good team comp. Now, I don't have her, but obviously Cloud Retainer would be a very good replacement for Bennett because she does have team-wide heals, so she's going to be able to get more utility out of Farina than would Bennett, and she also increases plunge damage. So realistically, I haven't done any calculations or anything, so bear with me, but I do think his best team right now would probably be Zhongli, Farina, and Cloud Retainer. You might be able to get away with C6 Farazan instead of Farina, but I don't think the shield is negotiable. I do really think Xiao wants a shield unless you're just an absolute Giga gamer and you can dodge, but it's really hard to dodge consistently in the Spiral Abyss. So I do think his team comps are pretty rigid. I wouldn't say there's too much flexibility, and we do see that with quite a few DPS characters. You could pair him with Tank Fei if you don't have Zhongli. You could do maybe even like Diona. But Zhongli is definitely really good. Layla. These characters that provide shields are going to be pretty good. You could also pair him with like a Sucrose to help group enemies. To also, VV Shred, even though he's not getting much boost from VV Shreds because he's Animo himself. And she can also be a really good battery. So unfortunately, as a hyper carry, I would say his team comps are pretty rigid. Now, if we go into his constellations, Xiao, really good character at C0, very solid. I do think of the constellations, C1 is very good. Having the extra dash is very good. I think his dash gives either 3 or 4 particles. I could definitely go out and test that. But having the extra dash to give you extra particles to have your burst more often is definitely good. Not necessary at all. If you're pairing him with characters that have like a Favonius weapon, I definitely don't think it would be necessary. Other than C1, really, none of his constellations are good besides maybe his C5 because you get 3 more levels to his burst, which is definitely, improves his damage. And then his C6 is insane. If money wasn't a thing, I would definitely C6 him because I just think it makes it more fun because you don't have to plunge as much. But I would say C0 is fine. C1 if you definitely, want Xiao to have his burst more consistently. But his other constellations are very yikes. I mean, when he's not on the field, 25% energy recharge increase is fine. I mean, so when you're swapping through your other characters and using their abilities, you could definitely see some boost there. You get 3 levels to his talent, which is pretty meh. This one is absolutely dog water. I don't really know why you would care about his defense, especially because you're usually pairing him with a shield character. So all in all, I don't think Zhao's constellations are that great or really give him that much of a boost, which is great. We've seen a lot of 5-star units that ramp up very, 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 very significantly with the addition of constellations. So the fact that he is pretty good out of the box at C0 is very nice. And then lastly, we'll just talk about his talents. As far as his talents, you definitely want to prioritize his normal attacks as well as his burst. His normal attacks because you are getting the plunge damage increase, and because his burst acts as a multiplicative addition to his plunge attacks, you definitely want to focus on that as well. His skill, this doesn't really matter. It's just a little damage additive. It's really not that intricate to his kit. I will say if you do have C6 or you're planning to get C6, this does become a little bit more effective because you're actually going to be able to get more charges of it during his burst state. But all in all, I would just focus on his normals and his burst. So that is Xiao as a whole. Now, to go into his quote unquote pull priority, I would say since Xiao has been around, since very early Genshin, he definitely has been power crept. I mean, we've seen a significant amount of DPSs come along that, in my opinion, are just a little user friendly. Nuvolette being, the top one, obviously. Hu Tao, Zhao gets compared to a lot. They do have a lot of similarities. I do think Alhaitham is very user friendly because, Hyperbloom and Spread Aggravate are so busted. Risley, he's definitely, in my opinion, he's better than Sino. Tainari, I would say probably might edge Zhao just because he is in the Dendro meta. Nilu is very good as well. Ayato, Hyper Raiden. I would say he's better than Eula because physical is very niche. Ganyu is pretty OP because you can do reverse melt or freeze with her is pretty nutty. So there's definitely been a lot of DPSs that have been introduced since Zhao's initial release, but with the introduction of Cloud Retainer and also Farina, Zhao's damage is very, very solid. You're going to be able to clear probably 95, if not 99% of the content in the game. There might be a few, floors of or a few chambers of floor 12 that you might struggle with on, certain rotations. But all in all, with the addition of these new, basically pure Xiao supports, I do think he is a very solid character. If you want to get him, I definitely think it won't hurt you at all. Would I recommend him over other DPSs? No. I mean, Nuvolette is the pinnacle of DPSs at this point. We have Arlecchino coming, and the dreams are saying she could be pretty nutty. But all in all, I would say out of 10, I would give Xiao 7.5 plunges out of 10. I do think he's a very solid character. I would say he's above average for sure. You definitely have to be willing to plunge and sponge and spam plunging consistently, which can be a little bit nauseating. I know a lot of gamers don't enjoy that playstyle, but for me, I got used to it and I do enjoy it. So that's pretty much it. But I just wanted to do a quick updated Xiao guide as he's getting another rerun, and we've got some pretty new sweet supports for him. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go over Xiao and go over his kit, and I hope this video helped you. And comment down below, are you going for our small emo king this time? Are you going to skip him? And I hope you found this guide to be helpful. But as always, I appreciate you so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.